Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to head back to Denmark once again for the first time in what feels like a good little while. Now, we're going to return to a brewery that's featured on the channel a couple of times before. These guys are a very well-known and well-respected brewpub in their local area, and they're also attached to quite a well-known Danish beer brand, and they previously had links with a well-known American beer brand as well. But when it comes to this brewpub, they do lots and lots of different beers. Pretty much you can pick a style of beer that you enjoy personally, and you'll get a very good example of it from these guys. And I'll also point out that they're one of my favourite places in the world, so I am a little bit biased when it comes to this brewery, but somewhere that I highly recommend that you go and visit, and they've always got some interesting things. But yeah, the beer that we're going to have a look at from them today is a little bit special from what I understand, a kind of anniversary beer in fact. But yeah, it's a style that I have tried from this brewery before, although it's a sub-style that I haven't had from them, if that makes sense, and it is supposed to be really damn good actually. I've heard very good things about this one. So needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, like I said, we are going to return to Denmark. We're going to go to Copenhagen on Sjælland, and to be specific, we are going to go to the Bourbon area, the meatpacking district, and that means we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Warpigs Brewpub. So this particular beer is called You Really Fucked Up My Bottleshop, and I'm really fucking furious. Quite a long name. This one comes in at 12.5% ABV. It's an Imperial milk stout aged in Weller bourbon barrels, and it's also brewed in collaboration with the Mikkeller and Friends Bottleshop from Torvehalen up in the Nørreport area in the city, or Nørrebro I guess you would say, if we can call it that. But yeah, this one should be really quite nice. I actually bought this beer at the Mikkeller and Friends Bottleshop, and they were telling me that this is one that was brewed for the 10th anniversary, either of Warpigs Brewpub or for the 10th anniversary of the Bottleshop. I actually can't quite remember. But regardless, a 12.5% Weller bourbon barrel aged Imperial milk stout from Warpigs Brewpub in Bourbon in Copenhagen. So yeah, I've had quite a few Imperial stouts from Mikkeller Warpigs before, but this is certainly the very first Imperial milk stout that I've had from these guys. It's also got a little bit of coconut in it, which I forgot to mention earlier on. But yeah, I've heard great things about this one, and I thought it was quite cool to get such a special beer to review for you here on the channel as well. But yeah, let's crack on with this one then and see what this beer is going to have in store for us. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer, and it's a little bit of a complex history because of Warpigs having its ties to Mikkeller and to Floyds, but we'll get through that. But if you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Warpigs and Mikkeller, of course, and those lists will no doubt be added to at some point in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to my channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Danish playlist along with a number of other things. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, not as often as it used to be and not as often as I would like, I hasten to add, but do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days, even if I do say so myself. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Warpigs Brewpub. So yeah, Warpigs Brewpub was founded back in 2015, and it's in the old meatpacking district in central Copenhagen, known of course as Bourbon. So the company is a subsidiary of both, or was originally a subsidiary of both Mikkeller and Floyds, and it's a brewpub and American barbecue restaurant combined. and the kitchen is currently run by Adrian Claudio Lazar, who does some very good food, I have to say. But for the first 2 years, the brewing team was led by Kyle Wallach, who was originally a dishwasher at Three Floyds over in the US, but then in 2017 he left to go to Hill Farmstead, and he was replaced by Singaporean Lan Shin Fu, who stayed with Warpigs again until 2019. And then she was replaced in turn by the German Philipp Heist, who stayed until 2023, when he was replaced by Amir Bedervand, who had previously been working at Mikkeller's operation in San Diego in California. But to date, these guys have produced over 800 different beers, and a small number of these have been released in can, and some of them were, of course, brewed in the US. But yeah, to tell you a little bit about the two parent companies behind this little venture, if you like. Mikkeller was founded back in 2006 by Mikael Bjergso, who was originally a physics and maths teacher, but they operated for many years as a gypsy brewery, brewing their beers mainly in Belgium, but also in a few other places. In 2016, of course, though, they took over Ale Farm's old brewery in San Diego in California. Then they opened another brewery the following year in New York, at the was it the home of the New York Mets, if I remember correctly, and then they also had their Valheim blendery in Copenhagen as well. But these days, I think all three of those venues have kind of shut down, and they've gone back to gypsy brewing, if you like. Three Floyds, on the other hand, are based in Munster in Indiana, quite close to Chicago in Illinois, but they were founded back in 1996 by Mike Floyd along with his two sons, Nick and Simon, hence the name Three Floyds. But these guys are now producing around 10,000 US barrels of beer per year, and they've built a huge reputation for themselves. But together, Mikkeller and Three Floyds founded this Warpigs Brewpub back in 2015. In November of 2021, though, it was announced that the partnership between the two breweries would end, and that Mikkeller would take control of the brand based in Copenhagen, while Three Floyds would take control of the American side of the business. I haven't really seen much from Warpigs in the US, actually. I would need to check that out, but there has been a fair little bit of activity from the guys in Copenhagen. But as I say, over the last couple of years, they've continued to release new beers and add new things to the food menu and so on. But as of November 2025, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced, or the Copenhagen side of the business have produced about 810 different kinds of beer, according to Untappd. So yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Warpigs Brewpub for the moment. It's a bit of a history that goes all over the place, to be quite honest with you. Not as structured as I would like, but that's the business in a nutshell, I guess you could say. But yeah, as I say, if you want to learn more, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And if you're particularly interested in the different beers that these guys have done, you can check out the Untappd page as well. So yeah, that's everything about that. Like I said to you, this one comes in at 12.5% ABV. It's an Imperial milk stout with a bit of coconut added to it, and then it's aged in Weller bourbon barrels. Having done a little bit of research on the Weller whiskey, it seems that it's a wheat whiskey, which I haven't had, or a wheat bourbon whiskey, which is something that I can't say I've had all that often. I think I've had it maybe once or twice, and the wheat whiskies tend to be, actually, the wheat bourbons tend to be quite smooth and quite sweet, actually. I tend to find bourbon is a bit stronger, but yeah, it is pretty damn sweet. So yeah, that's one of the things with the bourbons. I'm not that used to them, because in Scotland, you know, you don't particularly need bourbon whiskey. So yeah, we've got all the Scotch stuff there. But yeah, I've just noticed a little mark on my glass. I'm going to pause the video very quickly, and I'll fix that, and we'll come back and we'll get on with actually looking at the tasting of this thing. Alright guys, and we're back. A little bit of soap bubble or something, and obviously we don't want that interfering with our beer, so just ran off and gave it a quick rinse. But yeah, I'll just have a wee look at the can on this one before we open it up. It's a little bit difficult for you to see the artwork of this, actually, just at the angle that it was sitting. But there you can see the Warpigs Brewpub symbol there. It is actually a really nice can, this one, but the paper, of course, with it being in the fridge and out of the fridge, the paper might get ruined. But yeah, there you can see the Mikkeller and Friends Bottleshop symbol there, which is quite nice as well. And if you bring it round to this side here, you can see the name. You really ruined, you really fucked up my bottle shop, and I'm really fucking furious, yeah. So quite a long name, this one. I'm not sure we'll be able to do that for the full video right enough. But this can is a half litre, like I said, 12.5% ABV, this one. They've put it down as 12, yeah, it doesn't say anything about fluid ounces. Oh no, it does on the back, yeah, 16.9 fluid ounces. I wondered that because this brand, of course, was American as well. But yeah, they've got that on the back there. But you can see on the side it tells you it brewed in Sjödbruen. I think they should say Kudbruen. Actually, I'm not sure how the Danes would pronounce that. In Sweden, we would say Schutt. So I always tend to go for the soft K, Sjöd, in this case. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one, as you're always going to get from Warpigs. But yeah, let's get this guy out into the glass then and see how they go. You really fucked up my Bottleshop, and I'm really fucking furious. A 12.5% Weller Reserve Bourbon Barrel-aged Imperial Milk Stout with coconut, brewed by Warpigs Brewpub in Sjödbruen in Copenhagen, in collaboration with the Mikkeller and Friends Bottleshop in Torvehalen in Nørreport. So let me just get this guy open. There we go. And it behaved itself actually, and we'll get it out and into the glass. So here we go. I have to say, this looks very, very nice actually. So yeah, there we are. Yeah, that looks good. So yeah, before the head disappears on this one, we can see that it's poured with a quarter finger of, what would we say, a medium tan head actually. You can see some medium sized bubbles just sitting along the surface of the liquid there, and yeah, that goes round the edge of the glass. There's a few spots just sitting on top of the liquid there as well, and yeah, the colour of this one is absolutely lovely, but that head is just fading away to leave you with not a lot, and that's, you know, not surprising to be honest in this one, although I did see that this beer has wheat in the malt base, which you would think would make it retain its head a little bit more. But yeah, when you shine the light through this one, there's quite a little bit of opacity to this, and you do get a little bit of that sort of Coca-Cola Pepsi coloured edge. But yeah, you can see it's a little bit opaque, and that will be due to the presence of the wheat and potentially a little bit of coconut in this one as well. But yeah, in terms of an Imperial Stout, it looks exactly as you'd expect. You've got that lovely dark ebony rosewood colour. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But when it comes to black beers like Imperial Stouts and Imperial Porters, it's very, very difficult to affect the colour of those with adjuncts. And to be honest, I don't think coconut is going to be an adjunct that's going to do very much to the colour of your beer, in all honesty, generally speaking, even in some of these fruited sours. So yeah, the dark colour that this beer has is pretty much in line with what you would expect from the beer. But yeah, I don't think we really need to say too much else about the appearance of this one. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation. I can just see a bubble breaking the surface on this one every so often. But in terms of what you'd expect from an Imperial Stout, it pretty much looks the business, if we can put it that way. But yeah, when it comes to the Imperial Stout as a style, there's a couple of ways you can play with these beers. So, for example, you can do a double mash, which is going to give you like a big, thick, sticky mouthfeel. You can do a longer wort boil, which is going to give you some really kind of more smooth and complex brown sugary type character, so some big, yeah, leathery brown sugary notes that would come out of the beer. You can also do, or you can add adjuncts into the beer, of course, as well, which is going to give you some concentrated flavours, make your flavour lean a certain way. And of course, you can do a little bit of barrel aging as well, which is where you're going to sacrifice a wee bit of the mouthfeel to get all those infused flavours. And I'm quite curious with this one, because I don't remember having a beer that has been specifically Weller bourbon barrel aged before, so we'll see how that works out. But yeah, this one's got a wee bit of two at least, and I think with the ABV that this one is, we're probably going to have a double mash. The longer wort boil, we'll just need to see. But yeah, I think we're going to have quite a few interesting things going on from this one. But yeah, that covers the technicalities of the style and what you can do when you're brewing it, and also the appearance of this one. So I think we can go on and have a wee look at the aroma of this beer and just see what it's all about. I'm very, very curious about this. Oh yeah, right. I'm going to say straight away, aroma wise, this one is an absolute monster. So it smells absolutely lovely. Yeah, if you do come across a can of this, I think it'd be a shame for you not to pick it up. This wasn't all that expensive either, although I think I bought a couple of things when I went to Torvehalen, just because, you know, I missed my Danish beer. I love the Danish craft beers, and there's some great stuff there these days. And Copenhagen for me is one of my favourite places in the world, and it's also a very, very good beer city these days. But yeah, in terms of aromas, this is awesome. It's kind of giving you everything you want. You can get the barrel out of this one, you can smell the wee bit of coconut, and it's a big kind of brown sugary, just chocolate lump of a thing. Let's break the aroma down then and describe it for you that wee bit more in depth. So yeah, the backbone of this beer, you can absolutely smell that lovely North American oak in there. As I've mentioned on the channel many a time before, European oak and North American oak, they're different species of tree, and when you actually, you know, have them in, you know, when you use them for aging in beers, they do give you quite a different character. The American oak for me is a little bit smoother and shows you a little bit more. It's a little bit smoother, and it shows you a wee bit more vanilla, I think, or the vanilla's a little bit sweeter, whereas the European oak is just that little touch drier, and the vanilla's also a wee bit drier, I would say too. But with this one, you can certainly smell the spirit in it. And as I say, bourbon for me, I'm not overly familiar with it, being Scottish, of course, more familiar with the Scotch whiskey. But yeah, the bourbon in this one, it is actually quite sweet, but you can sort of smell the thickness to it, and it's got a wee touch of like, it's got a wee touch of a kind of banana bready type note to it. And I found that when I've come across wheat and rye whiskies from America before. It's how would we say? Yeah, I've had that when I've come across American bourbons before, just like, you know, they have just that little bit more sweetness to them. But yeah, the rye and wheat ones in particular, they have a little bit of an almost banana bready, cakey dryness to them almost. So yeah, you can really smell that in this one. And of course, the fact that you've got coconut as an adjunct in this beer, I think, is kind of playing a role in this one too. So yeah, I think that's all we really need to say about the barrel in this one, but I do get a wee touch of the vanilla in there. The beer itself, this one is really very, very thick, and it's showing you this almost like mix of chocolate muffin, bourbon, and brownie sort of character. A lot of American brewed Imperial Stouts have this particular combination of things, and you can get that in here. So with the beer side of things, there is a little bit of a kind of roasty, toasty, well-fired bread crust in there, and there's a bit of rye bread for sure, and a wee bit of wholemeal brown bread. And within those layers, you do get a little bit of like nuttiness, but there's a sort of mix. It's like a mix of chocolate sponge cake, chocolate brownie, chocolate muffin. There's an element of that coming out of this beer. The chocolatey side of this beer, I would say, the chocolatey side of this beer is interesting, because I do get some more like 30-40% milky chocolate out of it, but I do also get more of like a 70-80%, yeah, I do get a little bit of a 70-80% kind of darker chocolate out of it, and the darker chocolate side of this one's got a wee bit of fruity character to it. In terms of the brown sugars, this one, the brown sugar is definitely there in this one, but I don't find that it's overly prominent in the aroma actually. Like, it's got a bit of a toasty note to it, but I don't, and it's also got a wee bit of leathery character, but I don't find the leatheriness overly prominent in this one. But I have a feeling, just from the way it is, I think we'll get more leathery brown sugar coming out of this one. So I think this beer has a bit of everything. It's got a bit of adjunct, it's got I heavily suspect it's got a double mash at least in this one. I think there is a bit of longer wort boil going on, and of course it's got the barrel. So this beer's been played with in the four main ways that you can play with an Imperial Stout. So yeah, there's toasty brown sugar in there, there's definitely a slightly more leathery character coming out of it. There's some treacle molasses in there, and a wee bit of a kind of sweeter caramel coming out, and I've also got some nutty notes as well. So yeah, the nuttiness comes out of this one. I do get a wee bit of the hazelnut, but yeah, you obviously get quite a little bit of the coconut, and I find the coconut to be quite toasty in this one. So yeah, the way that the malty side of this beer goes together, I think, is really nice. At the back of the nose in this beer, of course, you're getting the yeasty side of the beer. I think we've said everything we need about the maltiness for the moment, but the yeasty side of this beer, at the back of it, it's got this lovely big kind of treacle. It has got a bit, it's like that sort of Scottish English Christmas puddingy type character. My dad always used to love Christmas pudding at Christmas and for his birthday in February, so I'm very familiar with it. That big oily sort of plum pudding thing. You've definitely got quite a little bit of that in the yeasty character there. Some rye bready notes as well. So yeah, how would you say? Yeah, big plum puddingy notes out of this one. Some rye bready notes, and also yeah, there's a wee bit of like brown bready character as well. But I think the yeasty character of this was going to be pretty nice. I think that covers the malty and yeasty side of this beer, in all honesty. So in terms of the hoppy and fruity side of the beer then, a few things to say about that. Obviously, the Imperial Stout is not the most hop forward style of beer in the first place. This one has also been barrel aged, so that means that a lot of the hoppy character will have kind of dropped out of this one, and of course you've got adjuncts in there as well which are going to suppress the hoppy character a wee bit. Nevertheless, you do still get a little touch of green component out of this one. So there's a little bit of there's a little bit of earthiness in that green component, wee bit of floral character, and some nice kind of grassy notes to it as well. So yeah, the way that goes together in this one is pretty nice, in fact. So yeah, the green component just adds a little bit more depth to the beer. How would we say? Yeah, the green component in this one, I think it's more floral and grassy, just a wee touch of earthiness in there. I'm finding when you sugar this beer up and let it settle, you do get a wee touch of an almost earthy vegetal thing to it. And I'm wondering if that's the coconut adjunct that's kind of adding that in there. But yeah, in terms of the fruity side of this one, for me, I would say the fruity side of this beer, it's got a little bit of a the fruity side of this beer, it's got a little touch of raisiny sharpness to it, but not overly much. Big, raisiny sharpness in there, big oily plums, a bit of a pruny note underneath, definitely some date as well. I do get a little bit of like sultana note out of this, like white, dry white green grapes. But yeah, there's figs in there. Yeah, there's figs, black currants, blackberries, all these kind of typical things that you would want from a big Imperial Stout. But yeah, I think the more that I smell this one, the more I'm getting the toasted coconut out of it. But the aroma in this is absolutely beautiful. So just take a wee bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck into it. That's always half the experience when it comes to craft beers and whiskies and sakes and things like that. So yeah, I think we can go on and have a taste of this one then and see what it's all about, because the aroma is really interesting. So just to check the name of this one again, this one is called You Really Fucked Up My Bottleshop and I'm Really Fucking Furious, a 12.5% Weller Reserve Bourbon Barrel-aged Imperial Stout, Imperial Milk Stout with coconut from Warpigs Brewpub in Schubbyen in Copenhagen, in collaboration with the Mikkeller and Friends Bottleshop in Torvehalen, also in Copenhagen. Let's see what this beer's all about. Happy 10th anniversary to Warpigs and Mikkeller and Friends. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Oh yeah. I'm going to say straight away, that is really damn nice, and it's pretty impressive actually. Now, as I've said on the channel before, I've always been really impressed with the Scandinavian Imperial Stouts. and this one's no exception. But this one, I would say, is up there with some of the best ones I've had from Scandinavia. Or maybe we should include the Nordic, we should say the Nordic countries in that, because, you know, we've had some great stuff from Finland as well, actually. But yeah, this one, this is a great Imperial Stout. If you come across this, you will absolutely love it. It's a lovely big smooth thing, and it's just so nice to drink. I'll definitely be keeping this can, because this is a pretty special beer, plus the fact it's from one of my favourite places in the world, and it'll make a nice souvenir, how do you say, souvenir, reminder of home here in Hong Kong. But yeah, this beer gets a massive, massive thumbs up from me. This thing is awesome. So yeah, just give it a go for yourself if you come across it and see what you think. I don't know how much of this would be produced, but I'd imagine it's a fairly small batch. But yeah, where can we start with this? This is great. So we'll go to the middle third of the palate, as we always do with these beers. So, middle third of your palate, backbone of the beer. You've got that lovely, smooth North American oak in there. And yeah, you can feel, as I've often said, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. But yeah, the backbone of this beer is that lovely smooth American oak. There's a wee touch of vanilla further forward, and then yeah, you've got a, how would we say, you've got the spirit layer just kind of sitting on top of that, and the spirit layer in this one, it's kind of how I described it, like it's really oily. The bourbon in this one is really oily and sweet, but it does have a mix of like sweet syrupy caramel, and it's also got a little bit more of yeah, it has got more of that kind of banana bready type note as well. So yeah, the spirit layer in this one is quite interesting. So yeah, the spirit layer in this one, I have to admit, I really do quite like. And that does come out more and more into the aftertaste. You can feel the beer. It's a very thick, smooth thing, this. But yeah, it really, how do we say, it really sort of just gives you a little bit more dryness and things into the aftertaste. So yeah, that sweetness, that bourbon sweetness comes out, and you get more and more. You just get this little layer of banana bread out of it actually, which I find really, really nice. Quite unusual actually. Maybe to American beer drinkers it's not quite as unusual, but to me it is a little bit more kind of quirky in that sense. But yeah, I think that covers the barrel side of this one. So above that, you do start to get the beery side of this one. So it does have a little touch of a roasty, toasty, well-fired bread crusty note to it, but I would add that that's quite minimal. This is a very, very smooth beer actually. So yeah, there's a little touch of that roasty, toasty bread crust there, but it's not aggressive in the slightest. Above that, you get more of a, above that, you get more of a kind of rye bready sort of character. Then there's a wholemeal brown bread, and those layers are quite compressed and pushed together. Which I do quite like as well. But yeah, those layers are quite compressed together, and you can feel the lactose in here just kind of smoothing that whole side of thing coming out. And the bready layers within that, you've got the kind of coconutty side of the beer pushing its way out as well. So yeah, the rye. So yeah, toasty bread crust, rye bread, wholemeal brown bread, some nut kind of coconutty characters in there as well. I do get an almost little touch of hazelnut out of this one, but then yeah, above the wholemeal brown bread, you get this more dense. Yeah, you certainly get this more kind of dense. Like it's as I say, it's a mix of chocolate sponge, chocolate muffin, but it's got a wee bit more of a kind of chocolate brownie consistency to it, although it's not too gooey actually. So yeah, all of that coming out of this one. So yeah, the way that that kind of chocolate spongy character comes out of it, and I think that's great. But sitting above that, the next layer, it's more of like a kind of cocoa nibby sort of chocolate. So yeah, further forward on that middle 30 of the palette, you've got a wee bit more of a, how would we say, 30-40% cocoa milk chocolate. Then yeah, further back on the middle 30 palette, you've got more of a, maybe, it's not that heavy, it's maybe like a 60 or 70% cocoa chocolate. So you can feel that little chocolate gradient in there, but the chocolatey side of this beer is a little bit kind of drier and powdery. It's more like a kind of cacao nib, if we can put it like that. But above the chocolate there, you've got that oval shape in the middle 30 palette. So the oval shape, it's a little bit toastier underneath. Then you've got a lovely leathery layer just sitting on top of that. And then yeah, in the dead centre of the palette, you've got more of a kind of circle in there, which is the denser brown sugar. So the very edge of it is like a sweet caramel. It's a bit more fudgy as you move further in, and then yeah, you've got a little bit more of a kind of treacle molasses type note there, which is the boozy part of the beer. So yeah, the way that that goes together, I think, is really, really nice. So that's the boozy side of the beer there. But I would say the sweetness, actually, when you take this beer in, you get quite a lot of the brighter side of the brown sugar there, but it does just kind of dry out and smoothen out, and you start to get more of the leathery side of the brown sugar. So yeah, it's quite oily and sweet in the beginning, but yeah, the brown sugars just become more leathery into the aftertaste. But yeah, I think just going by just going by what sort of flavours we're getting out here, and of course that middle 30 palette with this beer is the most complex part of it. It's that, you know, it's got adjunct, it's got barrel, it's got pretty certain this is a double mash, then it's also got that longer wort boil in there as well. So yeah, the way that that all goes together, I think, is really, really nice in this one. It's a lovely, lovely beer, this, and the middle 30 palette's great. You do get a little bit of the coconut, you get more and more of the coconut into the aftertaste with this one, but and coconut's not a flavour that I'm mad about, if you like, but I think the way it's done in here is really nice. It's just very slightly toasty and just gives you that little bit of kind of drier sweetness into the aftertaste too, and it blends well with everything else. But yeah, after that, I think we've covered the middle third of the palette quite well with this one. So let's go to the back third of your palette with this one. So as I've said many a time, the back third of your palette is going to give you very similar flavours to the middle third of your palette, just at different intensities. But yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palette, you get that nice little bit of bready build-up in this one, and you can feel there's a sort of rye bready layer in the base, the wholemeal brown bready character in the middle, then the more sort of chocolate spongy type layer on top, and you can feel like there's a little bit of an almost coconutty banana bready type character just on the very top of that there, which is quite interesting, and some of the drier cocoa nibby characters. So yeah, that's the border region. But the base of that back third of your palette, you can feel the drier side of the barrel, then you've got a kind of drier side of the spirit too, but it's like a dry, more leathery-ish, woody type sweetness that you get in there. It's not like really, really dry and bitter, if you like. So yeah, you've got that. You've got a little bit more kind of toastiness and roastiness out of the bread crust. The rye bready layer is there, which was a little bit lighter, taller, and more airy. You can say the same about the wholemeal brown bready layer, which sits above that. And then yeah, you start to get that chocolate spongy, chocolate muffiny type layer. And I'd say, you know, in the middle third of your palette, it's got a bit more brownie-ish character to it, a bit more gooiness. But yeah, on the back third of your palette, it's absolutely more of a sort of fluffy chocolate sponge and a bit of a muffiny character that comes out of it. And as I say, you can feel the sort of cocoa nibby chocolate just sitting on top of that, a wee bit of the more toasty, kind of brown bready characters, brown sugary characters as well there, and then it's all about the yeasty character above that. So let's look at the yeasty side of this beer then. So yeah, the yeasty side of this one for me, it's quite interesting. It's kind of like I predicted it would be from the aroma. So at its core, you've got this lovely kind of, how would we say, kind of Scottish English Christmas puddingy type character to it. So it's got that big plum puddingy kind of note coming out of it. So yeah, big oily plum puddingy character at its core. As you move further out from that, I think it becomes a little bit more kind of chocolate spongy. Then the very edge of it is a bit more kind of, yeah, it's a bit more of a kind of wholemeal brown bready character-y. More of a kind of fluffy wholemeal brown bready note. In the very edge of it, you have just a little touch of like brown bready bread crust as well. Yeah, so the yeasty character does give you that wee bit of dryness into the aftertaste, and it just adds a wee bit more complexity to it. So yeah, the way that goes together is really quite nice. So yeah, back third of the palate, as I say, you can feel the flavour is definitely taller, and then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. And as I say, the way that goes together, I think is very, very nice in this one. But yeah, it is, as I say, a very, very nice beer. This one, it gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, that covers the malty and yeasty side of this beer then. Let's go on to the hoppy and fruity side of things just to round off. So like I said earlier, we talked about the hoppiness in Imperial Stouts. There is still a little bit of green component to this one, and I think it goes together quite nicely. So yeah, in the back corners of the palate, you've got a lovely little bit of earthiness in there, but again, very, very smooth. As you move further forward, it's got a little bit of, there's a little bit of a woody, herbally kind of thing. Then as you reach the front corners of your palate, there's more floral aromaticity. Oh, we've got a wee fly. It's a little bit of floral aromaticity there. Then round the front curve of your tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and grassy. But the edges of your palate in this beer are very, very smooth. You know, it's just the very, very subtle characters you're getting out of the hoppy side of this beer. But yeah, lovely, lovely stuff. Yeah, so I think that's everything we need to say about the green component of this one. Let's go to the front third of your palate then to round off the flavour section of this video. So yeah, border region between front and middle third of your palate. You get that nice little bit of bready build up in there again. You've got the rye bread in the base, the wholemeal brown bread in the middle, and then more of a chocolate spongy character on top and a wee bit of a cocoa nibby kind of thing. The base of that, the base of that front third of your palate, it's got a little bit more of a, how would we say, it has got a little bit more of a kind of smoothness and a bit more of a vanilla character to the wood actually. The bourbon spirit is very kind of bright in this one, that you really get more of that kind of sweeter banana bread there. You've got the very slightly toasty bread crust, rye bread, wholemeal brown bread, then the chocolate sponge and this cocoa nib, and the kind of drier, the sweeter side of the drier, more leathery brown sugars creeping in there. And then above all of that, you've got that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. So yeah, let's have a wee look at that for this one. So yeah, the fruity side of this beer is kind of as I was describing it in the aroma, but it has got a wee more of the kind of drier fruity side of things. So let's just look at that again. When you first take the beer in, it's got that, it has got a little bit of a, it's got a little bit of a more raisiny kind of character to it. But then underneath that, you've got big oily plums. Yeah, so a bit of a kind of raisiny note to this one. Big oily plummy character to it. But underneath that, lots of, if we go to the back half of that front third of your palate, raisin on the top, oily plums, prunes, quite a bit of date in this. I do get a wee bit of sultana coming out of this one too. So you have dates and sultana, and as you move further forward into the middle of that front third of your palate, you can feel there's an oily fig, and you've got blackcurranty characters, and on top of that there's a wee bit of a kind of blackberry note out of this one. So yeah, the way that all of this goes together is really nice. The fruity character in this beer just complements everything else, but we've seen these sorts of notes in Imperial Stouts before, but yeah, it's lovely, lovely stuff, this one. Yeah, I think we've covered all the flavour in this one. I've sat and pondered over this one for a wee while because it really opens up this one the more that you kind of let it warm up a wee bit and kind of think about it. So yeah, I think that covers the flavour of this one. Let's just round off the review with a wee quick look at the mouthfeel. So for me, the mouthfeel of this beer, it's absolutely, it's definitely, you know, full-bodied beer, this one. I would say kind of pushing mid to top range of full-bodied. The barrel obviously takes a little bit of the thickness away of this one, but it's a very smooth and silky kind of mouthfeel that you get with this beer. You know, the carbonation is so smooth in this one, it's almost non-existent. But yeah, lovely silky smooth mouthfeel coming out of this one. IBU wise, oh, this one's only got to be about 5 or 10 IBUs, very, very little. I think, you know, 20 would be the absolute most, but I think it's less than that. I think it's like 5 or 10 IBUs. The barrel, as we said, gives it a wee bit of dryness. You've got the sweetness from the spirit, smoothness, you know, a little bit of dryness in the bottom of the malt base, smoothness in the middle, dry sweetness on top, and then you've got that lovely oily fruity character, which in itself has a wee bit of dryness too. So yeah, the way that everything kind of pieces together in this one, I think is very, very nice, and as I say, it's a big thumbs up for me. This is an awesome beer, and it is absolutely worth having a go at should you get the chance. This is probably the best one I've had from Warpigs so far, and when I think about all the Mikkeller Imperial Stouts that I've had, this one could well be the best in that sense as well. We've had some very, very good ones from Mikkeller over the years, so that's not a statement I take lightly. This is an awesome Imperial Stout, one of the best darker beers I've reviewed for quite a wee while actually. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one, but this can is definitely getting kept. So yeah, this one was the You Really Fucked Up My Bottleshop and I'm Really Fucking Furious, a 12.5% Weller Reserve Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Milk Stout with coconut from Warpigs Brewpub in Schuldbøjen in Copenhagen, in collaboration with the Mikkeller and Friends Bottleshop in Torvehalen in Nørrebro in the same city. So yeah, awesome beer to review, this one, and I'm glad that I got a chance to take a look at this beer, so I hope you guys enjoyed my take on it. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Warpigs Brewpub as well, and we will see about returning to these guys at some point in the fairly near future. Until the next time, check out my social media, check out Warpigs and Mikkeller's social media, and I'll see you guys in another review very, very soon. Ciao just now.